Chairman, I haven't received confirmation yet.
Okay, we'll hang on till you do. Thank you.
The live stream has started, Chairman.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you. Right, welcome back, everybody. And thank you to the technical whiz team there that are sorting that out for us. That's lovely. Thank you. So we're now back still talking about the review of the impact of seasonal dogs on beaches restriction and the public spaces protection order idea. I got three speakers. I'll bring in Barry Jordan first, if I may, please, and then John Fitter, and then Cornelius Olivier. So Barry Jordan first, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Welcome, Madam.
I'm speaking from experience because I'm one of the dog wardens here in Crackington, and I do it as a volunteer. I'm the clerk here, but I do the dog warden as a volunteer. Kevin has been very good. He did the training with us, a 2.5 hour training. There's another guy with me in the village. And St Genny's has worked with Cornwall Council. We've now just been accepted on this new scheme with these things going up with the 2 eyes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was on the phone to James Peck for half an hour this morning, and we've got the scheme laid out. Crackington Haven Beach, for those who've been here, is very, very small. I went down yesterday morning at 8:30 to see how many dogs were on the beach, or people with dogs on the beach, because the tide was out, none at all. I went down late yesterday afternoon, it was still daylight, none at all. I've been down this morning, first thing, none at all. Yet they could be there all the time now, but they're not. They only want to be there in the summer when there's loads and loads of people. This year was quite an exception. We had a lot of people on the beach. Now, I'm a dog lover. I've got 2 dogs. They're in there fast asleep. They've just been for a walk. So I'm a dog lover. I'm an animal lover. We don't take our dogs to the beach in the summer, although they like going on the beach. But around here, there is so many places you can walk. And I support Dominic and Nikki in what they've said. And the Anti-Social Behaviour Crime and Policing Act that was introduced in 2014 says that Cornwall Council consult with landowners. Crackington Beach is a private beach. It's not owned by the council, it's a private beach owned by the parish council. And we would like to have our own set of rules. The parish council met early in the year and agreed to keep the 24-hour ban. Unfortunately, we were told we couldn't do that because only Cornwall Council can set the PSPO. We would like to go back to that. And what Dominic was saying was about having separate PSPOs. If Cornwall Council consulted with parish and town councils who have their beaches that want to have a 24-hour ban, you'd only need one PSPO to cover those beaches, and the other beaches get covered by a separate PSPO. I'm sure the parish councils would fund that. There's probably 10 or 12 within Cornwall who would pay for that PSPO to run for 3 years, and then they would have the separate PSP. It'd be easier to monitor it. I mean, I've been down there several times during the summer and asked people to leave the beach with a dog, and they were very, very good. I only had one person that was, and he's from Lansing, believe it or not, where I lived most of my life, that was a bit obnoxious, but he said it was down to what they saw on the website. And when I pointed out on my phone, because I've got 4G, I could point on my phone, oh, I didn't read that far. Like Kevin said, the site is not that good. The signage on the beach is not that good, and Kevin has been here and seen it himself. He knows what it's like. Kevin, Zoe Bernard-John is our link officer, have met online with me and the chairman and another councillor several times during the summer to try and iron this out. We would love to have a 24/7 ban during the summer. The rest of the year doesn't matter. We have lots and lots of complaints about dogs stealing people's food and urinating. A lot of the beach, when the tide is in, it's just pebbles. You get a dog mess going in that. You can't really clean it up. I was down at the beach 6-8 weeks ago doing a repair on the slipway, just plastering up because it's my trade. I'm not what I'm doing. And 2 ladies came down and let their dogs off the lead, 3 dogs on the beach, and one of the ladies was carrying a spade. And I said, "You've got no children, why have you got a spade?" "Oh," she said, "I'm going to bury any dog poo." And I said, "Don't you realise that, we get children on this beach, it was still, nice weather. Well, they're not going to dig down that far." I said, "They will." And I said, "Not only that, the tide will come in, and if we have a storm, it'll rip it all up and it'll get in the sea." Whilst there's a chance of children being on that beach, we need to have a dog ban. 6 o'clock is no good, because on the beach in the summer, 8:30, when it was still daylight, there was still crowds of people on the beach. And I'm hoping that you will, or your committee will, look at having separate PSPOs and asking parish and town councils that want to have a 24-hour ban, if they would fund that. We're looking after the beaches. We don't need the dog warden here now. We're playing our part with Cornwall Council. We would like Cornwall Council just to support us in what we want.
Thanks,
Thank
Barry.
you very much.
Thank you, darling. I'm like you. I've got a dog. He's actually behaving himself for a minute, which is good. But I keep him away from the beaches in the summer, I must be honest. The next one is John Fitter, please, that would like to make a comment. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to sort of very quickly talk about Porth Beach, because it's been, of course, celeb with Kevin and Rob Nolan, and I expect they're sick and tired of hearing about Porth Beach, because if we go back very rapidly to the decision that was made by Rob in the best interest of all the beaches back in January, February, it was that we included the Seaside Award flag beaches with the blue flag award beaches. Now, this caused immense disappointment to the people of Porth and the people who use the Porth Beach, because they were under the impression that when it originally came out, it was only going to be the blue flag award beaches. But there was a genuine misunderstanding, I think, from all parties, and I think Kevin would accept this now. This would be one of my questions, that providing you can show to the Seaside Award flag people that you have a robust enforcement policy in place, then you can, in actual fact, have dogs on the beaches. The Porth Residents Association, the Porth people, they're delighted to have dogs off the beach during July and August. Purely and simply, they consider the beaches too busy, so you keep the dogs up to 10 o'clock in the morning off the beaches and after 6 o'clock in the evening, and they fully support that. They welcome that, and that was their majority of their views in the consultation process that we carried out. So hence their disappointment, in actual fact, that they're now sort of put into what I would call the blue flag status beaches. So I really would like to sort of ask Kevin Kevin, would you sort of indicate whether you've had any responses to this latest review from particularly about Porth Beach? And would you accept, in actual fact, that if Newquay Town Council were to indicate to you that they have robust measures and they have 2 dog enforcement officers, but that they can manage a regime whereupon dogs are not permitted on the beach from July and August, would you think that that would safeguard the status of the Seaside Award flag? Because no one wants to take that away. We're not asking to take it away. But what we are asking for the community and the people of Porth, and there's a lot of retired people who live down there, the opportunity to go on to Porth Beach when it's less busy, and that is May and June, and also September. And at the moment, they're prohibited from going on that beach at that time. No one's asking for a total relaxation, but they're probably asking for what the consensus and the majority of your big consultation that was held early in the year. So I'll leave it at that, Madam Chairman. Thank you very much indeed for allowing me to speak. I'm very grateful. I appreciate I'm not a member of your committee. And as I say, if Kevin could come back with 2 answers to my question, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Kevin, would you like to come back on that one?
Yeah, I just want to. There's 2 questions. The first one is will a July and August support Seaside Award? Is that right, Councillor Fitter?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kevin. I probably didn't remember saying very briefly. In actual fact, is one of the reasons why you wisely decided to put the Seaside Award flag in with the blue flag award was because you felt, in actual fact, that it would endanger the Seaside Award flag unless we had what you might call robust enforcement measures. And my question to you was, would you consider, with 2 enforcement officers and a commitment from Newquay Town Council that they can enforce, then in actual fact that would mean that Seaside Award flag was not in danger? That was one of my questions. The second question, could you sort of confirm to me and that you have received information, petitions, letters, emails from the residents and people concerning Porth Beach saying, could they just have the July and August ban as opposed to the what you might call the Blue Flag Award ban? Thank you, sir.
Okay, so in regard to the first part of the question, the rationale for changing and including the Seaside Award status was to support Seaside Awards across the whole of Cornwall, and the purpose of it is a more robust procedure, more robust approach does help guarantee that award. The fine and details of applying for that award is you have to have a dog control policy and process, which should include enforcement as well. The purpose of including the Seaside Award with the Blue Flag Award under the criteria that's already the existing criteria that's in is because there are numerous beaches across Cornwall that have, well, there's not numerous, 5 beaches that have a Seaside Award in Cornwall, and some of them do have enforcement, and some of those beaches don't have enforcement. So what we're looking at that respect then in response to Councillor Fitz's question is, are we going to go to a local measures? And it's almost the same but opposite to some of the points that have already been made. In terms of changing the restrictions for next year, as I've stated before, and as is set out in the report, is that there will need a consultation in order to achieve that, because you'll be looking to amend the existing order and requirements of Anti-Social Behaviour Crime and Policing Act 2014, and under the responsibilities and that are placed on local authorities when creating PSPOs is that to create an order and to amend an order will have to undertake the necessary consultation, and obviously resource would need to be put aside to do that, which obviously at the moment would be quite a challenge for the service.
Thanks, Kevin, and thank you, John, for the question. The next question is Councillor Olivier, please. Cornelius.
Hello, Chair. Thank you very much. Just very briefly, my take on this whole situation is that dogs and blue flag status are fundamentally incompatible, and we need to recognise that. And if we value blue flag status, take that into account when we're making or removing restrictions. And I did have a question about blue flag status. Could I just a one-word answer? Is that some kind of is that connected with a European standard, blue flag status? Is Kevin there? The blue flag status is originally a new European standard, but the awarding body is Keep Britain Tidy. Okay, but now we're no longer going to be part of Europe. We could have a really low blue flag status, which allows dogs all the year round, and you could still be blue flag. Is that correct? Are we going to could we revise it in that way? You'd have to contact Blue Flag about that. I'm not aware of any changes they're pending for next year at this moment in time. Okay, but that would be my take on it. Whatever we do, and we seem to have heard evidence or a suggestion that beaches are, people are moving away from wanting blue flag beaches precisely because of this debate about dogs. Did I misunderstand that, or is that correct? I think there was that has become a theme within the 17 town and parish council responses we had to the survey, but I think it needs a bit of extra exploring to establish why that is. And certainly, if I go back to the previous, the 16th of January report and presentation, is that the correspondence we had from Lindsay Atherton from Keep Britain Tidy, who oversees the award giving for England, is that the restrictions that are in place
4 blue flag beaches are adequate to achieve the award as it stands.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification.
Thank you, Cornelius. The next speaker is Joanna Kenny, please. Welcome.
Thank you, Caroline, for letting me speak. Yeah, Newquay is an interesting one. We've got 10 beaches. They're all different. Like I'm sure every other councillor, we get an email bag full of things about the Porth beach ban. Why is it on Porth when it's not on Fistral? Which is really quite a good question. I rather like Dominic's suggestion. I think it has to be a local decision. I think if we can get the town council to do the survey, then at least we'd have, I mean, at the moment, the noise is all coming from the people who genuinely are saying, yes, do it in July and August, but for the rest of the months, can we have our beach back, please? I have a lot of support for that attitude. I think it's probably the right one. I understand why you are having to do it on a blanket, but I think if we could do something that has some flexibility for local input and what local people actually think, that is the best solution. So I support John Fitter on that. I know he's absolutely right. The local people in Porth do resent having the shoulder months in this ban. So if there's anything we can do to do a local consultation, just to make sure that the silent majority actually agree. And then, of course, Newquay does have its own sort of poo wardens, so we can enforce whatever.
Thanks, Joanna. That's lovely. No, that's the end of my list of speakers. So can I make a proposal, possibly as to start everything? Oh, Alan Hampshire's there. Alan, did you want to come in before you're putting your hand up instead of an X in the box? So I nearly missed you. Sorry, Alan.
Thank you, Chairman. And sorry for putting my hand up. I didn't know whether you consider me to have a question rather than a bit of an answer. Can I just make a point on the back of Kevin's point, just to in answer to some of the questions, or to provide maybe a bit more context? I fully get the asks and maybe the suggestions around whether there's more of an opportunity for some local determination around some of the beaches, but maybe just something to put into the mix again would be, this was probably the position we were in coming into this consultation at the beginning of the year when we considered the PSPO. Then was we did have a lot of different beaches with local rules that were all very different and inconsistent, and that was the main thrust, I think, of the decision that was made, was do we go with local determination or do we go with maybe an opportunity for more consistency and harmonisation in the way we go about the restrictions. And that was the major thrust, and obviously we had a significant consultation exercise on the back of that. My concern, and I fully get that there's pros and cons for both, my concern is that if given we were only 6 months down the line now with the new restrictions in place, we've had the most unusual summer in that we've not been able to, we had probably very unusual patterns of using beaches, and equally we haven't been able to do the full enforcement as we normally would do, albeit we've had people out and about at times, but we haven't been able to do the normal enforcement. So it is a very unusual 6 months that we are also considering. And my concern would be if we also, we're thinking at the moment of possibly going back to asking local councils for whether they wanted to consult and determine. I think that could also lead to a significant amount of work that we would have to do within the council as well. We still do own the responsibility for changing the PSPO, and irrespective of local consultation, there would inevitably be, I think, considerable amount of work that we'd have to do as a local authority and as a service, and including legal services, to bring about any sort of change. So my point is, at the moment, please bear that in mind, that given that we are still in the throes of trying to tackle COVID, and my service and probably in particular is trying to deal with that, we have very limited capacity, and so it's just to put that on the table. There is limited capacity to, I think, probably to undertake significant consultation or seeing through a new PSPO at this time, given we're only 6 months in. So it's just, I think, just a reminder of where we're at and why we made that decision, or was the committee went along the lines of harmonisation and consistency, and that we are just that 6 months in. So there's just, if that could be borne in mind. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Kevin, you've indicated, did you want to come back again? Was Alan covered it?
No, thank you, Chair. No, it's a separate issue. I've just realised I haven't actually answered Councillor Fitter's question in full.
Oh, sorry.
He did ask that he did ask if I'd received correspondence supporting a relaxation on Porth Beach, and we have, and they are contained within the report.
Right. Okay, thank you, Kevin. Right, so I'd like to suggest a proposal as a starter for 10, as it were. The first, I'm hoping Dominic's going to type this up for me because I sent him a text about it just now. The first one is that we improve the signage now as a matter of not urgency as such, but that we get that done and in place in time for next year. The second proposal that I would like to make is along the lines of one of the emails that I've had, is that not to recommend a full 3-year extension of the dog ban, but that we can't, because of what Alan's just said, we all know that the situation that our amazing officers are in, they're so busy with the COVID situation, we cannot expect them to undertake a full consultation now. So I would like to propose that we delay that. So in other words, we're going for their recommendation at the moment and review in 12 months. And at that stage, go out for consultation again, and then at that stage also to ask our town and parish councils, along Dominic's ideas earlier on, ask them if they would like local solutions and would they be willing to fully fund them. So at the moment, just try and do the signage, because I think that's something that could be hopefully be done in time for next season, and the delay, keep the order in place for 12 months, and then review it in 12 months. So next year, when hopefully we'll be out of this awful pandemic situation and we'll be able to do a consultation again. Alan, I take your point. The whole point of the consultation, which was a massive one, was to achieve harmonisation. And our concern on this committee was that we didn't achieve that, because what happened was we've gone for two distinct muddling things, I think, whether you're a blue flag beach or whether you're an ordinary beach, and that's caused confusion with people. So I think it is, that was our intention, was to get harmonisation, and we didn't get it. So that would be my suggested proposals. Dominic, have you had a chance to try and make that sound sensible for me? You're a star.
So that's just your first draft for comments.
Do you want to read them out, darling?
Yeah, happy to. 1, that the portfolio holder for Environment and Public Protection maintains the existing PSPO for the next 12 months, and then the committee undertakes a further review at that time. That signage is improved and replaced in time for the 2021 summer period. And 3, that in line with the council's commitment to localism, that for 2022, perhaps onwards, towns or parishes that have beaches have the opportunity to commission a local consultation to tailor restrictions to their locality through a dedicated Cornwall Council PSPO, with the clear understanding that any additional enforcement that arises from restrictions will need to be resourced locally.
That's much better than I could have put it, but that's what I was trying to say. Thank you, my darling. Right, now we've got some people that have indicated. We've got Martin Alvey and then Fred Greenstade. So Martin, would you like to go first, please?
I'm maybe preempted a little bit because I put my cross in before Dominic had put his words up.
Oh, sorry, Johnny.
No, but it's all right. What I basically I'm happy to go along with the general gist of where we're going with this, and really it's just to make it clear that because clearly the towns and parishes have to do their, if they're going to do their consultation, then the council will have to do a consultation after it, for the PSPO. So to maybe encourage the towns and parishes to do their consultation over the coming months to feed into a subsequent review by Cornwall Council for the next 12-month review. I was a bit garbled in saying that, but do you see what I'm saying? So basically, when Cornwall Council reviews it in 12 months' time, the parishes and towns and will have, if they wish to consider something different, will have carried out their own consultation already. That can then feed into the council response.
bit like the Boy Scouts, they'll be prepared. I don't know that we need to make that a recommendation as such, but and I'll take guidance from other people. But if this is approved, that will be made public, and hopefully the parish and town councils can pick up from that, and our colleagues on here can report back to the parish and town councils. Fred, do you mind if I bring Dominic in first, my love?
No, not at all.
Right, Dominic, did you want to come back on the wording?
Yes, please. Thank you, Fred. So the way I envisage it is that at the moment, that if towns and parishes want to conduct a housing needs survey to inform their neighbourhood plans, what they do is pay Cornwall Council to conduct the survey within their parish, which that means there's a level of standardisation. So the way I envisaged it was that town and parishes who want to come to Cornwall, say, give us a quote for doing a survey in our area. Cornwall Council a resource through the funding, and then have control over the questions, and there's a standardisation of the process so that they have it all the I's dotted and T's crossed when it comes to the legal stuff around the PSPO.
The difficulty, I guess, is that we haven't got resource at Cornwall Council at the moment to do that, so that might delay the town and parish council surveys then. Fred, do you want to come in, my love? Fred Greenslade.
Yes, very briefly. I think it's very reasonable to carry this over for 12 months, Chairman, for the reasons given, but also because the council will change in makeup in the next election, and I think there could be differing views from what we hold at the moment. So I think it's admirable to let it go for the 12 months.
Thank you, Fred, for that. Kevin Brader.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think it's always important to have reference to the legal requirements around introduction of PSPOs, and in terms of the consultation, the necessary consultation can be broad, and you can consult on and ask people what they would like. And most common practice is to consult on a proposal. So you could consult on what the proposed restrictions are going to be and ask for views on that, or be very broad. I think if in terms of a local based consultation, it would be, it does risk becoming confusing and to the public in relation to that if they're being asked to consult on multiple consultations on various beaches, on various different proposals, all at a similar time. So I think it's always worth having in mind that that it could be it could seem untidy to a certain extent. Yeah. But just providing some advice on consultation.
Yeah, that's good. That's sensible too, because it's always better than having a blank sheet of paper, isn't it? Joe, Heather, could I ask your advice, please? Did we ought to, that first, the number one recommendation there, and then the committee undertakes a further review at that time? Is that going to be difficult? Because it probably won't be us. It's as Fred has just pointed out, it could be a whole new council at that time. Do we have to sort of say, can we suggest that the Neighbourhoods Committee or its whatever next iteration undertakes a further review at that time? Is that what should the wording be there? Because we can't dictate, can we?
No, I would say, Chairman, that the recommendations as a whole should be to the Cabinet Member for Environment and Public Protection to take on.
Okay.
So I think that would then help the recommendation stay alive in the next council. So it's certainly something then that could be taken forward, and I'm sure that officers would also be minded of it.
So instead of saying for the next 12 months, and then they undertake a further review at that time rather than the committee, would that be what you'd suggest? I would put, yeah, and then I would put the next council administration, and whether you want to put considers undertaking, that's up to you, or whether you would like to make. Because I don't. I mean, I hope they will, but I don't want to dictate, because we're not in a position to do that. And as Fred pointed out, it could be a whole lot of new people, couldn't it?
It could potentially, yes.
And could we, could we beef that up a little bit, and that we urge the next council administration to consider a further review at that time?
If that's what you'd like to put there, that's fine.
because it is. I mean, this has got so. I mean, I've never had so many emails on anything else as this particular topic.
It is a topic close to the public's heart, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So, yeah, now I'm happy to propose that. Is anybody willing to second it, please? Those 3 points. Nikki, does that mean you are? Or you want to
I'm sort of happy to second, but can I just ask on point 2 that it's not just the signage, it's the website? Can we get the website tarted up in some way or whatever? Yeah, that would be great. Sorry, if we can put that in as well. Yeah, but I'm happy to second.
Signage and website is improved and replaced. Yep, that sounds good, darling. Thank you. Okay. So I proposed that and Nikki has seconded it. Has anybody got any other bits that they want to review or amend, or are we ready to go to the vote on this? Martin Alvey.
Yeah, really, and I take Nikki's point about website. Actually, it's a signage, website, and general publicity media. So it's not just the signage and the website. It's the social media,
general communication.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think it's that. The point is, it's the whole shooting match, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, happy with that.
Thank you, darling. Nikki, are you happy with that slight amendment there?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Thank you. I think it makes it stronger. Right. So anybody else wants to input into that, or are we ready to go to the vote? Right. Well, this recommendation is proposed by me and seconded by Nikki Chopak. Can I hand it over to you, Joe, to sort out the voting, please?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So the proposals that you'll be voting are, just to confirm, that these will be recommendations to the portfolio holder for environment and public protection. So it's that the existing public spaces protection order is maintained for the next 12 months, and the next council administration is urged to consider a further review at that time. That signage and website is improved. Sorry, I've got that one.
Somebody's still got the microphone on, I think.
So the second one is that signage, the website and general communication is improved, replaced in time for the 2021 summer period. And then thirdly, just a moment, in line with the council's commitment to localism, that for 2022 onwards, town or parishes that have beaches have the opportunity to commission a local consultation to tailor restrictions to their locality through a dedicated Cornwall Council Public Spaces Protection Order, with the clear understanding that any additional enforcement that arises from restrictions will need to be resourced locally. So if we could go to the vote, once again, the vote is by roll call. Please either vote in favour or against, or please abstain. So first of all, it's Councillor Martin Alvey.
For.
Councillor John Bastin.
For.
Councillor Malcolm Brown. Councillor Brown is not here, so that's fine. Councillor Nikki Chopak.
For.
Councillor Dominic Fairman.
For.
Councillor Pauline Giles.
For.
Councillor Fred Greenslade.
For.
Councillor Steve Knightley. Councillor Knightley, are you there?
He had to leave for an hour, I think.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Matt Luke.
Yes, for.
Councillor Cornelius Olivier.
For.
Councillor Carolyn Rawle.
For.
Councillor John Simmons.
For.
Councillor Mike Thomas.
For.
Councillor Kevin Towell.
Because of technical issues, I missed an awful lot of debate on that, so I think I'll abstain.
Thank you. So we have 12 members of the committee voting on this proposal. We have 1 abstention and 11 in favour, so the motion is carried.
Thank you, Joe, and thanks, Dominic, for sharing your screen there. That's brilliant. Thank you. Right, we now move on. Oh, sorry, Kevin, thank you very much, and Alan. You're very welcome to stay, but if you need to go, that's also okay. But thank you for your time, and thank you for all the work you do with the COVID stuff, Kevin. We do appreciate you keeping us safe, my love. Right, so moving on now to item 8, which is the update from the Cabinet members. I think we've got Rob and Edwina here with us. I'm not sure if Adam is here or not, but can I go to Edwina first, because I know you have some extra information that's been circulated by email to all of us, but I think it for the process of getting it out to the general public, I think the advice is if you could read out the extra bit so that it goes on to the town.
I thought we were going to take it as can somebody post it in the and I posted it yesterday and I can't find it now.
Hang on.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're all right.
Bear with me. Bear with me.
Here. Oh, here, I've got it. Do you want me to read it out for you?
I can probably find it to save your voice because you've had a lot to do.
If I go to somebody else,
I've got it.
Right, brilliant.
Okay. Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you allowing me to just give this additional update. It's about the DEFRA grant for Emergency Food Access Fund. You may recall it's £678,000. It was launched only on the 2nd of November, and the panel has met 3 times. They meet on a Monday to consider applications. So far they've approved £214,545, and they have a further £258,372 worth of applications pending, and a further £76,000 that haven't actually come to the panel yet, but they know it's coming. So the total value of the applications thus far is well over £500,000 out of the £629,000. The discrepancy of 50,000 is that it's been top sliced to undertake a piece of intelligence work to allow us to have better focused long-term support for food security. The geographic spread is pretty good, slightly higher amount in the east, which is interesting, and there is a mix of revenue and capital spending. So revenue would be on buying food, or employing people to deliver or to organise, and capital is things like fridges and storage, that sort of thing. So I think the team, which is the localism team, and particularly Guy Thomas, has been managing the whole process, should be congratulated for getting the money out the door incredibly quickly in just over 3 weeks, but demonstrates the real need for it.
Exactly.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you for that, Edwina. That's lovely. Have we got any questions for Edwina, please? I've got Dominic as indicated, so can Dominic go first, please?
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks, Edwina, for that. I'm happy to support the 50,000 coming off the top, to take the long-term view, but I'm a bit concerned that the money is going out quite as quickly as it is, and I just wonder if there have been any conversations about what happens to equally valid claims that come in the door once you've spent all the grant.
That's a really good question, isn't it? So my concern all the way along was that there may be gaps. So you may have some areas that are well served. So there's no food group in Lou, for example, other than Food Bank. That there may well be that'll go to certain areas and not to others. But my understanding is that the split between new groups and existing groups. So I've made an application on behalf of Lou through the Development Trust. So there was no food group in Lou. There is now. So I am concerned about those gaps, but I think that extra money will allow us to perhaps identify where those gaps are, and then find the money or make representations. This came through DEFRA, this money, to see how we can make sure that people don't fall between the cracks. It's really, really important. So I don't know the answer to will there be more money, but certainly if we're armed with the evidence of need, we're in a better position to be able to make that case.
Well, you would hope with being a DEFRA minister that George Eustace would look favourably upon it in Cornwall.
We can hope.
That's it. Thank you. Anybody? Oh yes, John Baston has indicated he wants a question, Edwina, please.
Well, thank you, Chair. I'm not too sure, Edwina, whether this is the relevant place to ask, but food security, I have a great concern being on on West Planning that we seem to be giving away agriculture and high value land still. You know, they just come along and say, well, it's only a small percentage, but when you're working with 5% max in the first place, and I don't know whether you can put any pressure on Tim to review that, but food security is something I think we definitely need to think about from a kind of land value point of view as well.
I think that's a really good point, Councillor. Thank you for your question. So you'll know, being on the planning committee, that higher grade land is not given a preference. The average land classification in Cornwall, although it's incredibly outdated, the system for measuring it is pretty low anyway. I don't think there is any. I think there's a tiny field down at Marazion that's grade 1. But
there's some in Halford as well.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's very little. But I think the Climate Emergency Development Plan document may have something to say about that. And certainly the status that we've got and funding that followed for nature recovery zone. I know it's about nature and not necessarily about food security, but I think we will be doing a piece of work with the funding that we've received to map where are the valuable areas of land. I do know that the rural subgroup of the LEP, the Enterprise Partnership, which I'm a member of, they are very much looking at that link between tourism, agriculture and ecology, and trying to marry the three up. They're not exclusive to each other, they're inexorably entwined. But I'm happy to follow up with Councillor Dwelly and the Planning Department what's exactly in the development plan document that could help towards food security.
Well, thank you. And just out of interest, I mean, the last time I went to one of the briefings on that document, grade 3 plus land wasn't being looked at. So there is a kind of a hint that they may not be going there, but that's a shame if they don't. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, John. And Mike Thomas next, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Edwina, for your detailed report. The registration service, are there any plans for buildings or offices being closed, or is it carrying on as usual with no planned changes?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Thomas. No plans at the moment, but I mentioned the review that government are doing over the legislation, which is basically a deregulation of the registration service, as far as weddings anyway, which may necessitate changes to the way we deliver the service. But at the moment, we've had a restructure in the registration service. We've had some investment in the registration service, and there's no plans to make any changes, but who knows with the result of this government review what that means. But I think perhaps as the property review that's going on more generally within the council and the target operating model, there may well be changes that are actually practical and sensible changes as far as the way that we use our buildings. So no plans at the moment, but we want to make sure that the registration service is accessible to all. I mean, you'll know that death registrations currently, you can do them on the phone. You don't need to go to an office, and we have been lobbying for births to be able to be registered in the same manner. So the whole service is changing, but no plans currently.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Edwina. That's the end of the questions I've got for you. So can I now turn to Adam Painter, please? Nice to have you with us, my love. Is there anybody got any questions for Adam? He's tabled his report, so you've all seen that, but has anybody got any questions for him? Because Adam is here with us.
Chairman, could I just intervene? Sorry, it's Jo Heather.
Yeah.
Just to remind the committee that the questions would need to be about County Farms estates and nothing else within Councillor Painter's portfolio.
Right, sorry, I should have made that clear. Has anybody got any questions about the County Farms estate element of Adam's portfolio? No, I think you've done a very clear report, Adam, so thank you very much for that. All right, Matt Lucas.
Thank you, Carolyn. I see Matt might have put a cross in, but I don't know whether that's for me, but hopefully the report made sense.
Yeah, it did, my love, thank you. Matt, have you got a question, love?
Yeah, sorry. I did graze through the report, but with everything we've had from the fire scrutiny thing we've had lately, we've had so much to go through anyway. That's a different thing. I just what the because we were bringing a lot of the farmhouses and buildings up to date for the Cornwall Homes schedule thing, and I just wondered how that was going, because it might have been in the report, but there's so much I probably missed it. But
yeah, no, thanks, Matt. We are still working on it, so we're still working through bringing all the homes up to decent homes standard. Yeah. And likewise with buildings, we're doing a lot of work. We're still doing work on the pilot projects for the slurry pits, which are going to be used for the methane gas extraction. Yeah. So we've nearly finished the first one, which is down near Saltash, and we're starting work on the others. So yeah, generally work is still continuing, you know, across the farms estate. Clearly lockdown has had an impact as far as, you know, building materials and getting the work done. But hopefully now, with us being, you know, in tier 1, coming out of lockdown next week, hopefully we'll move forward and get more of that work done. But it is, you know, on target to be done, you know, and is is being rolled out. So it's going quite well.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that, because a lot of us put quite a bit of work into that. I bet Dominic would be glad to hear that as well. So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Dominic, you've got a question for Adam?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Matt just said. It's really good to see some of our hard work, you know, fruition coming into place. You know, the work that's going on that Adam's referred to really does reflect what we did in the inquiry. So very pleased to see that.
Brilliant, thank you. Adam, just one from me, if I may. I see in your report that Russell Wheeler is retiring. I wonder if has he gone yet, or is he still with us at the moment? Because if you're in touch with him, could you thank him? Because I did work quite closely with him when we were on the farms panel as such. So I mean, an excellent officer, and thank him for all his work, and also to welcome Stephen Morgan, who's replacing him. So I'm not sure if that's still possible to do that, but if you could, that would be good. Thank you.
Yeah, Russell is still with us at the moment, but yeah, he will, I believe, obviously he'll be taking, I think he might have got some leave to take, but I believe it's by the end of the year. Off the top of my head, I can't quite remember. I haven't got my notes in front of me when I did have a catch up with Rebecca Jenkin last week, but Russell's still with us for a little while, tidying up some of the works that he was doing, I think mainly around the A30 and some of the works there, but he's not doing any works on planning applications. He's passed that work across. Right. Clearly, Russell was doing an awful lot of work on planning applications and you know, anything relating obviously to agriculture and land-based issues across our planning team. But I am pleased with the extra money that we put in the budget last year. You know, that's now going to take effect with these changes to personnel. So it will beef up the farms team. So, you know, quite happy at a future meeting, you know, once the new team is in place, that they could, you know, come along to a virtual meeting and just introduce themselves, because then at least members wouldn't be able to put a face to a name as far as the new team, because they will be working slightly differently and it will be improved. And hopefully we'll see that benefit, you know, both through, you know, ourselves as members when we get in touch, but certainly as tenants. You know, tenants being able to get hold of the farm staff, because they have been run ragged lately just because of, you know, the amount of work they've had and really the lack of staff. So, you know, I think it's a positive going forward into the new year.
I think it's important that this committee does keep an overview, because now that the farms panel has been disbanded, it falls back on us to be the only voice really to scrutinise and see what's going on. So that would be good if we could sort something out. Our work plan is very busy, so before Joe has her fit there, but I think yes, darling.
Chairman, it's Joe Heather. We do already have an informal item and a formal item in relation to the County Farms Estate coming to us before the end of the administration.
Brilliant, that's lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. So that's already in hand, Adam. So that's great. Thank you, and thank you for your time, my love. Okay.
No, thank you. Good to see you.
Anybody else got any questions for Adam? Don't think anybody else has indicated. Nikki's got to leave, so thank you, Nikki, and thanks for your input. Thanks, Adam. Now move to Rob Nolan, please, if I may. Is Rob still with us?
I am.
Yeah. The same with Edwina, you tabled an extra little bit of information. To get it into the live stream, it needs to be actually read out. Are you able to do that, my love? I know you circulated it by email to us all yesterday, but it needs to be into the process. Before I start with you, I just see Mike Thomas has put an X in the box. Is that a question for Adam before he goes?
No, it's for Rob.
Okay, thank you. Right, Rob, can I hand over to you, my love, to read in that extra bit of your report?
Thank you, Chair. Before I do that, can I thank members for their debate on the dogs on beaches?
Of course.
You know, it's almost impossible to please everyone with this. In fact,
of course it is. Yeah.
Please no one, but I do think the committee is taking us in the right direction, and I welcomed your comments on Kevin Brader. Kevin and Nick Kelly are
amazing
leading on the COVID response. They are absolutely up to their ears in work, and for Kevin to produce that report is almost miraculous. So thank you. Anyway, on to the extra bit. I apologise for tabling this, but it's only come up this week. It's a national issue, but for us, as many people have been spending more time at home this year due to COVID-19 restrictions, we've seen an increased amount of household waste in Cornwall. Since the lockdown measures were introduced in March, recycling volumes collected at the curbside have increased substantially, and black bag rubbish from households in Cornwall has also increased by around 8,000 tonnes. I would like to again pay tribute to the fantastic efforts made by all that have been involved in managing this in challenging circumstances. As you may be aware, the Cornwall Energy Recovery Centre, CERC, has an annual January to December permitted capacity of 240,000 tonnes. This is set out in the facility's environmental permit, which is regulated by the Environment Agency. Following discussions, the agency has agreed to allow the CERC to process up to 280,000 tonnes of waste this year to ensure effective waste management for households and businesses at this critical time. We will be writing to the local community forum about this change very soon.
Thanks, Rob. Mike Thomas has got a question for you, please. And if there's anybody else with questions for Rob, can you put an X in the box, please, in the meeting chat box? Over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Chair, and thank you, Rob, for what you've been doing. This is a question about household waste and recycling centres. I inadvertently wore my lanyard to Gaze Hill in Helston the other day, and the operatives there saw it straight away and wished to convey a message to Cornwall Council that everything is working well at Gaze Hill in Helston, which I can confirm by my attendance there. My question is just basically what I asked last time. I just wonder if there's a change. How long are we going to be going with the alternative number plate system? Can you see a future when we don't have to work out which car registration we're driving?
Thank you for your question there. I was heading towards a time that I thought we could abandon it as we progressed through October. But then with the announcement of the second lockdown, we decided we'd better carry it on to the end, because I couldn't predict, or we couldn't predict, what sort of extra usage there would be with people being furloughed and being at home again. It has all seemed fairly manageable. We were watching it, but we need to make sure there's lots of space so that people can socially distance, you know, for the staff and for residents that are using them. You know, we've been lucky enough to get into Tier 1. I would like to do whatever we can to keep us in Tier 1. I think we'll be carrying this on through till after Christmas now. I had anticipated ending it with lockdown, but I'll consult with the people at the waste centres. I think we're going to be carrying this on a little bit. We don't want to upset the apple cart. It's running well. I'm inclined to leave it as it is.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Yes, I'm not getting a sort of monumental number of issues from residents about it. When one particular resident did turn up with the wrong letter on his number plate, his excuse was he'd forgotten he'd changed his car, and the operatives were very understanding and let him unload. And also at the same time, can I just say how impressed I am with all the staff who are working in this area, both at the waste recycling centres and those who are doing the curbside collections. They are such a cheerful presence when they come to the homes, to houses, and I'd like to thank them through this meeting. They're really doing a great job.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Of course, the bin men on the black bags.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what I meant. I meant everybody, the whole group.
I was on Radio Cornwall, I think yesterday, days speed by, I think yesterday, and I was questioned about why they're not wearing masks. And we've been to the safety organisations to check that, and they've got permission to do that because it's such a difficult job to wear a mask while you're hefting these things about. But I was very pleased that the High Sheriff gave them an award for unsung heroes. They've done a fantastic job. We'd know all about it if they stopped.
Yeah, they have. They've been a breath of fresh air in a way, really, because as Mike said, they're so cheery all the time, which is lovely. Right, Matt Luke has a question, please.
It wasn't a question at all. It was just to reiterate what Mike said with the staff down at the obviously St Austell Centre next door to me, and with what Mike said about all the staff. They've been fantastic throughout lockdown. Under everyone's been clearing out their houses, everyone's been getting rid of all their junk, yes. And they've been rushed off their feet. And I'd just like to say as well that to congratulate them all on doing a good job under really trying circumstances, because there's nobody worse to deal with than the general public.
Thank you very much. Right, we're really, I'm just being reminded that there should be questions rather than platitudes, but I'm just as guilty because I started it off by saying thank you to everybody. So I think sometimes it's nice just to say thank you and that it is appreciated, isn't it? Right, no more questions indicated for you, Rob. So thank you for your time, my love, and thank you for being here with us all through the meeting. The next item on the agenda is any other business that I consider to be of urgency. You'll be glad to know that I do not have anything more. So I therefore thank you all very much for your attendance, the officers and colleagues. It's been lovely to see you all here again. I think it's been a really interesting day again, as they always are, and declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Carolyn. Thank you, Dominic.